Welcome back to another episode of Insights with Vinnie Mac. My name is Vince, aka Vinnie Mac. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode, another insight. This expression that I love that says nothing changes unless we change. And it's been really powerful and instrumental in driving me in terms of making changes in my life. And I hope that it's going to drive you in terms of making changes in your life. In this particular insight, I really want to encourage you to make that changes because nothing is going to change in your life unless you start making those changes. I love how the Apostle Paul says, I forget that which lies behind me and I press forward towards the mark. For me, the single most important part of that particular statement that he made in that letter to the Ephesians was, he's forgetting that which lies behind him. In other words, he's no more caught up in terms of the past. And I also had to get to a point in my life where I needed to forget that which lied behind me. Because yes, there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of hurt, and there was a lot of anger that lied behind me. And it was holding me back and it was stopping me from becoming the man that, that I'm gravitating towards becoming, that I'm moving towards at pace, becoming. And that is the very thing that is holding you back right now as well. Without knowing you personally, without knowing your story, your background, I can tell you that is the very thing that is stopping you from becoming the man or the woman that you are capable of being. Not being able to let go. And there's different aspects and different spheres of our lives where we cannot let go. Like the Apostle Paul, I want to encourage you, press forward towards the mark. Let go of that which was holding you behind. This is a guy that was like a killer. He used to kill the early church. He used to torment and kill the early evangelists of the church. And yet he was able to, forget all of that, put that behind him and say, I'm focusing on becoming the man that I know I'm capable of being. And that is what encourages me so much about his story, that so many people just love about his story, that transformation that he made. This is the guy that wrote basically 70 or 80% of the New Testament. And why? Oh, because he made that choice, he made that decision. Everyone thinks it's the experience that he had on the road to Damascus. Yes, that was a life-changing experience that he had there on the road to Damascus. More than welcome to go and read it in the book of Acts. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, no matter how dramatic that experience was, at the end of the day, the Apostle Paul had to make a decision. And that is where you are right now in terms of your life. You need to make a decision in terms of nothing is going to change unless you unpack it right now for you. Before we do, if you are new to the channel, or if you haven't yet, please by all means do subscribe to the channel, like the content. I would love to hear from you. I would love to interact with you, engage with you, because it does help me also understand what type of content I should be putting out there to help you unlock your life, unlock who you are capable of being. Bearing in mind that I do share content from both a godly perspective as well as from a coaching perspective. So let's start unpacking this for you. Nothing changes unless you start changing. Like I said, when my world fell apart, there was a lot of anger and animosity locked inside of me, and bitterness, and I couldn't move forward with my life until I learned to let go of that which was holding me back. And in reading that particular encounter of the Apostle Paul in the book of Acts, you start to get that realization and that understanding that here's a guy, for some reason or the other, really hated the new Christians and the new Christian movement, and he was like dead set out to squash and just kill this movement before it actually spread and became what it has become today. So we see the road to Damascus as this life-changing experience, but that was not the life-changing experience that Paul had. Yes, he had the encounter with Jesus. Yes, that was extremely powerful. But at the end of the day, the life-changing experience happened when Paul made the decision. And that is what really caught me and that pulled me out of the rut that I found myself in. Because remember, I was at a point where I wanted to commit suicide, and I just couldn't see a way forward for my life. I couldn't see any way past this barrier that I had created myself in my own life, in my own particular walk. That is the first sort of like gem that I want to share with you on this particular insight is, take ownership, take responsibility of your life. You are where you are right now because of decisions that you have made. That might sound harsh, it might sound judgmental, but it's true, it's the absolute truth. My marriage came undone, my business came undone because of decisions that I had made. Not because of anything else. Well, yeah, my ex-wife had factors there, she played a part in all of that. But I made decisions at the end of the day. The outcomes in my life are based on the decisions that I made. And by understanding that and accepting that, I too was able to let go of the past and start moving towards becoming the man that I'm capable of being. And I want to encourage you as well, take responsibility, take ownership of who you are. If you are not in the best position at work, if you are not in the best position at home, in your marriage, in whatever aspect, whatever walk it is financially, take responsibility. The minute you take responsibility for yourself, you will start seeing a shift happen. So what else do we learn from, nothing changes unless we change? Okay. Remember the Apostle Paul used to be a killer. He used to be the guy that hunted down the Christians and the early Christian movement. So when if you read the story in the book of Acts, you'll see that he had to escape from Damascus because as he was preaching in Damascus and people saw the influence and the power that Paul, the authority with which he spoke, started scaring them. And they plotted to kill him, so he had to escape from Damascus, and you can read that in the book of Acts, because that's not the focus of this particular insight. The focus is he went to Jerusalem and he started preaching there and he started reaching out to the other Christians. But initially they all feared him because all of them remembered Saul, and none of them knew Paul that came through to minister to them. And that is exactly what's going to be happening in your particular walk. The minute you start making changes in your life, you are going to be confronted with all these challenges, with all these barriers that are going to block you from moving from where you are to where you are capable of being. And you are either going to accept these barriers and say, well, nothing is going to change for me. There's nothing that I can do about the situation that I'm finding myself in. Or you're going to be like the Apostle Paul, and you're going to align yourself with people. He had Barnabas in his corner. Barnabas was well known to the other apostles in Jerusalem already. So he had Barnabas vouching for him, in terms of, hey, this guy's transformed, he's changed his life around. You have your own Barnabas right now, but you are not tapping into that Barnabas. The book of Romans says that the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead resides within all of us. That is our Barnabas. That is the person that is vouching for us. That is you. Your inner person is your Barnabas. Stop looking at external factors, looking for external people to vouch for you. Start vouching for yourself. Start, acknowledging, start speaking words, positive words over your life. Start focusing on the thoughts or paying attention to the thoughts that you're thinking. Those thoughts that are saying that I cannot do this. Why can't you do this? Where is it written that you are not able to do this? Where is it written that you are not able to be the man or the woman that you are capable of being? Start questioning those thoughts. Start asking these questions. Start doing investigations within yourself. Start doing audits on your own life. I love that because that helps me unlock more of who I'm capable of being. Develop a strong concept of self and start becoming aware of what your actual values are. Okay, and the last part of this particular insight that I want to share with you with regards to that particular verse is the second part of that verse where the apostle says that I press forward towards the mark. And that is very enlightening because it tells us that we need to have goals that we are aspiring to. Paul understood that if he was going to have an impact, if he was going to really affect the world in terms of the gospel that he wanted to preach, he needed to have a vision. He needed to be clear on the goals that he was going to push towards, because he understood that he was going to run into obstacles, he was going to run into walls. But as long as he was focused on his goal, as long as he was focused on the outcomes that he was striving to achieve, that it didn't matter what was coming against him. The drive inside of him would have pushed him so fervently towards reaching for that goal that he would walk through fire to reach his goal. And that is what we need to start doing. We need to start becoming that man or that woman that will walk through the waters, knowing that the waters, that we will not drown, that we will walk through the fire and the fire will not burn us. We will need to be so focused. But the only way we can do that is if we have clear, absolutely clear goals in front of us that we are reaching for. And most of us don't know how to set goals in place, And I want to encourage you, sit down, think, make a list of all the things that you want to achieve in your life. Don't be afraid. Allow your imagination to run wild. There is no rule in place that says you cannot be this or you cannot be that. The only limitations in your life is the limitations that you are placing on your own life through your own thinking, through your beliefs. And it is a process. It took me about 2 years to get to the point where I am right now, where I know that there are no limitations, that I know and understand that I don't have to look at outcomes, or I don't have to look at certain situations in my life I don't have to look to external situations to define who I am. I have to look inside myself to know and understand who I am and who I am capable of being. So I want to encourage you, sit down, make a list of all the goals that you want to achieve. And then out of that goals, look at it and you read through that list. What speaks to you? What drives you? What is the one thing that you're really passionate about, that you feel like this is something that I really need to do with my life? Start making that the center point, the focus point, or the starting point. And start finding a why, a reason in that particular goal as to why you're going to push yourself towards achieving that mark. And start pressing towards the mark, because nothing is going to change unless you start changing. Okay, so this particular insight just left you with a benchmark. It just left you with the starting point with that thinking to say, you know what, if changes needs to happen in my life, I need to start changing. And we're going to dive deeper into this particular topic because I really want you to understand the practical part. This is just the theoretical part of, nothing changes unless we change. There's a practical application to all of this as well, and we're going to be diving into that. But I don't want to rush everything in terms of the insights that I'm sharing with you. I want to give you a good solid foundation, a good solid base, and then we're going to build a really strong concept where you can find your concept of self, where you can start becoming the man or the woman that you are capable of being. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this particular insight. I hope that it encourages you, because you know what, the year that lies ahead, it's not as scary as you might think it is. If you start seeing the world from a different perspective, from a different view, you're going to see that you are capable of so much more, and that this year that lies ahead of you is just a stepping stone to the greatness that you are busy unlocking with your life. Okay, if you got value from this insight, please drop me your feedback. Like I said, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, like the content, and then do comment. I would love to hear from you. I would actively engage with you with any comment that you drop out there on my particular channel. I'm going to wrap it up there for now. For now, this is Vinnie Mac saying, you know what, change your thinking, change your world.